Christina, and today's the third video in my craft room series. Today we're going to do an in-depth storage tour. I will tell you at first that I did do a little bit of rearranging. After I had filmed my full overview of my room, I wanted to take a few minutes and kind of rethink about what was in each of the drawers. And I will tell you, I ended up like changing out a lot of stuff and putting some of it in storage because some of it was still scrapbooking supplies that I'm not completely and totally using because I'm not really into scrapbooking right now. Doesn't mean that I won't go back to it at any time, but what I did was I just put it in storage, which is actually just past that door there with my Besta shelving unit that was in my old craft room. And in there is where I keep all of my scrapbooking supplies. But let's go ahead and get started with the tour of the in-depth tour of all of my crafting supplies. And I'm going to start here at my Calyx unit, my Expedite, which is what I still call it. And on the top here, I have my Copic storage. This is the, and I'm going to probably get this wrong, and I will post it below. It's the Studio 3 Solutions or something like that. They go in and out. Their store opens and closes. I don't know if they close down while they're trying to keep up with the demand of orders, but this is a great storage for Copic markers, and I have all of my Copic markers there. Next to that is my Stampin' Up! Ink storage spinner, and I have all of my Stampin' Up! Inks on there, and then in the very top is where I keep my re-inkers for the Stampin' Up! Ink pads as well as the Distress inks. And then going down into the first two sections, in these two sections right here, I have all of my 8.5 by 11 cardstock. This first section right here, this is my 120 or 110 pound Nina Solar White cardstock. Because I have a full ream of it, fits in here perfectly, but eventually when I start getting through this, I'm going to buy something to keep them a little bit more secure so they don't fall over. I have another one of these woven baskets, or one of these woven baskets that I got at, I want to say Michael's a while ago, and this is perfect for my larger full sheet storage. I'll show you my half sheet storage later. But this is where I keep all of my neutrals, ones that I would use often for card bases, as well as some of my Copic quality cardstock are in here as well. This next section is my colored cardstock. This is my paper tray ink and Stampin' Up! Cardstock that I keep in little magazine holders from Target, and I just keep them in full sheets. I don't really have them labeled by what color they are or what they are. I just put them in here because it really doesn't matter to me too much what the colors are. And some of them are just kind of, you'll see that there's punch sheets and there's some half sheets, and I don't really have a storage solution for my scraps in here. I have it in another section of my room. And then going down, we have two more bins. These are the full 13 by 13 inch bins, and I'm going to pull these out and put them in a better location so I can show you what's inside them, because it's kind of hard to balance them and hold the camera at the same time. Okay, so I just pulled my chair over, and what I'm going to do is just slide this out and it'll land right on top of my chair. And what I have in this first one is a couple of these storage boxes that you can get at Michael's for usually 50% off, or if you have a 20% off coupon, you can get for 20% off too. What I do with these is I keep my ribbon in these. This top one is going to be my baker's twine, the bottom one is going to be regular ribbon, and I keep them in the boxes because then it's easier just to take the whole box right over to my craft desk if I need to, and then then I can just bring it right back to my bin. And then down at the bottom here is my May Arts twine that I use often, so that really doesn't go into a bin because I pull that out quite a bit. And the bottom one is just all different miscellaneous ribbons and stuff like that. Alright, this next bin, which is really heavy, is all of my 6x6 and 8x8 paper pads. I just kind of throw them in here. I have no real good storage solution. I did recently go through these and only have in here papers and pads that I've recently purchased and ones that I really truly like. The rest, again, were donated to our children's library, which I've mentioned in previous videos. And then back here is all of my 8x8s. So that's what's in those two units. Down below those are two of my yellow storage unit bins, and I'm going to pull these out and show you what's inside these. Okay, so this first bin has another one of those boxes, and I have in here a lot of my tags. And then below that are some of the bins that I used to keep for storing DVD, or They're used for storing CD cases, but I was using them for my wafer-thin dies, but I have another storage solution for that. So I have a couple of these. Some I got at Target, some of them I found really cheap at Big Lots. And I use this particular bin holds 2 of those units. And in here is where I have things that I'm going to use for my memory keeper. It's the only real embellishments and stickers and labels and stuff I have is in here because it is things that I'm probably going to use in my memory planner. And then these are ones that are probably going to be used in my memory planner or in my actual planner. So that's what I keep inside this bin. Let me go ahead and pull out the other bin for you. So this next bin is all of my alphabet stickers. Anything that either is thicker or regular flat stickers is in here. So I have all of my stickers back here, and in the front here is where I keep all of my alphabet stickers that I use. I absolutely love this one. I've used this for a couple of different things, but I absolutely love this sticker pad by Amy Tangerine, the alphabet stickers. All right, next, below that are 2 units, and you can buy these separately from IKEA that are great storage. However, they're not, the drawers, because you're putting them in, the drawers are very small, but they're perfect for little things. So in this top drawer is where I keep all of my extra adhesives. I have my extra tape rollers and stuff like that. The bottom drawer is my felt. So I have my paper tray ink felt, and then I recently started purchasing the Tailored Expressions, which I'm going to play with this set very soon because I absolutely love those colors. Very spring. This drawer, oh, it's empty. Yay! And then the next one up is going to be all of my envelopes and bags that I use for crafting. So next is one of my 4 cube units. This is one of the units that goes along my long wall. And in the very top part of this one, I have all of my Mink supplies. I have my foils, my embellishments, and anything that has to do with the Mink machine. This next unit is all of miscellaneous tools. I have punch boards in here. I have my crocodile and a couple of other supplies. Those are miscellaneous tools. In this bin, I have some of my I Am Roses, which I purchased a long time ago. And then I have some white Prima, which if you guys remember them when these came out, they were so popular. So I have a whole bunch of these that I will never run out of. And then in my very last one on this unit, I have most of my favorite punches. These are punches I pulled out that I think I'm going to use or will get the most use out of. I have a little wicker basket in here that has all of my Stampin' Up! Punches and EK Success, and then a couple of my Martha Stewart punches, and then I have larger punches in the back. Moving down my workspace is my 2 cube unit that I made into a 3 bin storage. This top shelf right here is office supplies. I have pencils, some note papers, an address book, and a couple of miscellaneous office things. And this next bin is more of equipment related and printer. I have my microphone, refills for my printer, and then my little Polaroid zip printer that I use for my memory planner right there. And then the bottom bin, which is a larger 13 by 13, is all of my planner stuff. All right, I pulled this out to get a better view. So back in the back here is where I have my silhouette stickers, because that's mainly what I use my sticker paper for, is for my planner. I have some of the sleeves to do Project Lifestyle inserts into my memory planner. And then I also have some of the book covers that I took my 2016-2017 planner, made it strictly 2016, and then I bought these to do for my 2017 part. This is the 2017 part of my memory planner. And then these are just the stickers and stuff that came with the undated or non-dated pages. Then I have another one of those little wicker bins, and down here is where I have Post-it notes, labels, clips, pins, anything that I might use in my planner or just even at my desk. I have my 365 punch for my Happy Planner. I have more stickers that I use for planning, my old Erin Condren, and then the only other thing I have in here is just a clear envelope. Oh, and then on the side here are my October through December of my Inkwell Press planner that I was using before I actually got my 2016 planner. The last of the units going along my long wall is going to be a 2-bin unit, and in the top bin is where I have some metal embellishments. I have a couple of these doilies in here, and then the rest is all metal embellishments. Some old, brads that I might use for doing mixed media, and then a whole bunch of other older eyelets and stuff like that. And then this bottom drawer is just where I have some canvas things that I'm going to be working on soon. So that's all that's in there. All right, now on to the other side of my room. This is the last wall of my craft room and where I have most of my crafty storage. Let's start with my Razcog cart. I have one cart. I would love to get a second one, but this one is where I would use, I just strictly have stuff that I use the most at my desk. So I just wheel this cart right up to my table, and then I have it right next to me when I'm crafting. In the top part, I keep a little bowl of all of my acrylic plates, or acrylic dies, rather. I have my Misty, my big roll of 3M foam that I use a lot, my stamp cleaner, my Score Buddy, Misty papers. In this little section right here, I have just some pens. I have permanent and removable adhesive. And then this little pile of ink pads right here are the pads that I reach for the most when I'm looking for, mostly these are all black and white inks. I have another little glass jar that has all of my watercolor brushes in it, along with one of my little putty knives. In the next section, I have 2 more of those bins that I talked about earlier. There's the CD storage that I use to keep my wafer thin dies in, and they fit perfectly in the cart with a little bit of room on the sides that I can stick things in. This first one is where I keep my heat tool. I have my date stampers back there, and then some masking paper. In this one, I have a little cloth for cleaning up my desk. That's Frisket back there, and then I have all of my embossing powders along with my little bowl with my embossing buddy. And then right next to that is where I keep my baby wipes. And then I found on clearance a Tim Holtz stapler that I picked up because that's one of my favorite tools. Just wanted to have it just in case something ever should happen to my other one. And then this is another woven bin. And in here is, just, tissue paper. I really don't keep anything else down in here right now. So anyway, I would love to get a second one of these. I just need to wait until I make a trip to IKEA, which one of these days, over the summer, I might do. I would like to have one of these that's just for my memory or my planners, and then I don't have to keep those in and free up some storage space. Because what I love about these carts is that you can just roll them right out of the way. So next up is a 4-cube unit that I made into an 8-bin sorter by adding 4 of the shelf inserts. But I will get to that in a second. So let's talk about what I have on top of my unit here. I have this little wire bin that I picked up at TJ Maxx quite some time ago. And I've always used this for sorting new things that I've recently purchased. So in here I have things like my new Tim Holtz crayons and some stamps and dies and stuff I plan on using. And then in the back are just some larger things like my board that I use for watercoloring and my big stamp press. Next to that are these 2 boxes that I picked up at Michael's. This top one has just miscellaneous crazy crafty supplies in it. I'll just quickly kind of let you peek in. It's got pom-poms and weird things in there, so it doesn't really have to pertain to paper crafting, but it is a little bit of crafty supplies. This bottom one is empty, so I don't even need to show you what's in there. And on the top is where I keep my stamp cleaner. I don't know why I have just a roll of tape there. And then this is my stamp that has my address on it. So, and then I have a picture of Ethan from when he was little. And then I have this old lamp that I had in our master bedroom, which we don't use anymore, but it was perfect for this little corner. Just needed some lighting there. And then on the bottom are where I keep most of my stamp storage and then some miscellaneous supplies. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how I store my stamps. So these first couple of rows, the first 2 here and the 2 over on the other side, this is all stamp storage. This is where I store all of my stamps. I added the insert from Target to make it a second shelf. And then I also purchased these little clear things that aren't necessarily made for this. I had to do a little surgery to it by cutting it off, one of the bottom pieces, but it clips on here, and then I use some foam tape behind it to keep it in place so that it doesn't slide off or pop out. But this is probably about a 6-inch deep drawer, 6 by 13, I'm going to guess. And in here is where I keep all of my stamps. I have my stamps sorted by category. They're not broken up. The sets are still together by the company and the name of the set and the company, but I strictly just kind of mentally, I think, okay, I'm working on a birthday card. I need a birthday, so I will run and look in these drawers for my birthday stamps. Or if I'm working on a holiday, then I'll go and look in the holiday stamps. But this is pretty much, I have a miscellaneous section. I have a section for florals, so anything that has any kind of flowers on it will be in here. And then I have like a section for alphabets. Back here are tags and labels. And then I think further back are background stamps. So, and then I also have things like my love section that has love sentiments and stuff like that. So that's that first drawer. The second drawer underneath that one is things like frames and labels. I have a section for animals. I have kids' birthday. I have a whole section for just project life and scrapbooking. This is like my Technique Tuesday Ellie Edwards stamps. And then over on the next side, on this top section, again, this is all clear stamps, acrylic stamps. But I have them by season and holiday, so if I'm doing anything with the season or holiday, I can just pull this whole drawer right out. And then in the next drawer below that are cling mount stamps. Anything that's a rubber stamp that has the cling mounting on them, they're in here. And they're not sorted by anything in particular. They're just, in here. In the next 4 units below my stamps, I have a whole drawer here for strictly cardstock. A while ago, I took all of my cardstock, every single color I had, and cut them into 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch pieces. Right in the very front of each of the colors, you'll see like this is Aqua Mist paper tray ink, and then what I'll do is anything that I cut up or put, I'll just shove it right in the front, and then anything behind here is the full 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 sheet. Did the same thing with my neutral colors. I have my 80-pound cardstock in the front. I have my craft paper tray ink, and then the back is Stampin' Up, and then Very Vanilla, and so on. So that's how I keep my smaller pieces of cardstock, and then I'll just reach for this before I'll go and pull out a full sheet. So that is my storage. Oh, and just to show you, I have these clear acrylic fridge bins in here just to keep them so they're not rolling all over the place. Next to that drawer is my spray drawer. I have a ton of Lindy Stamp Gang because I used to be on the Lindy Stamp Gang design team many moons ago. So I have a lot of the Lindy Stamp Gang. I have my Mr. Huey and my Heidi Swap. And in the front here, I have things like some glitter, coarse glitter and stuff like that in the front. I don't know what that has to do with sprays, but it's in there. My embarrassingly big drawer of washi tape, which I won't even show you because I'm embarrassed by how much is in there. And then I have my camera equipment. I have my DSLR and then my arm for mounting above my desk when I'm filming projects. So that is what I keep in this unit. Next to this unit is my bookcase, and I'm just going to back up and show you my bookcase before I get into details. So this unit right here is my built-in bookcase that my brother installed for us, and I absolutely love this unit. It is perfect for holding my die storage as well as my machines. So on the very bottom, I have my Silhouette machine, and in the back I also have my Silhouette cutting mat, and then right next to that is where I keep my sewing machine, and then above that is a shelf just strictly for die cutting. So this middle crate right here I picked up at Michael's a while ago, and in here is where I keep stuff like my multi-platform, my acrylic plates, my magnetic platform, and then I have some larger dies like this French fries box die, and then my magnetic platform, and then I have a Tim Holtz die that does not fit in my regular box that I keep for storage, which I'll show you in a second. So I keep that right here, all of those things inside this bin. I'm just going to move this, and then behind that I have my long dies by Tim Holtz. And this is where I keep those along with the long platform, long acrylic plates that I got for like $4.99 at Tuesday mornings. And then I also have my long full platform back there for my Vagabond. For my die storage, I found these boxes at Michael's, and I believe I got them when they were 50% off plus a 20% off coupon. So I'm just going to pull this one off and I'll show you what I keep inside of here. So this is my big box of wafer thin dies. I do not have any organization to this. I had started this project a while ago and have not fully finished, which is the last section. I think I wanted to do was kind of categorize them, and I guess I haven't really fully decided if I wanted to categorize them like my stamps and have them done by shapes or in categories, or if I wanted to do them by companies. But right now it's kind of just a little mishmash. I have them just sorted in the same envelopes that I use for my stamps, which is the Avery L envelopes, and I've also used some really cheaper ones from Amazon. And I store them have them labeled with the name and then the name of the company. And then all of them are on these magnetic dies, so when I take them out of those unit things, I don't lose dies all over my desk. So most of these, like I said, they're not in any particular order. They're just kind of in here with no rhyme or reason. On the side here, I'll just turn this sideways, and I just keep, so that they don't fall over, I have a little glass jar back there. But in the side here, I have some of my Heidi Swap dies. And then I have some border dies down here. These are all paper tray ink border dies. And then this is a new die set that I'm going to want to start using. And then I have some larger paper tray ink dies on the side. And then I also have extra of my magnetic sheets that I use for my dies. Now, my magnetic sheets are just vent covers that you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's, and I just cut them down to I think these are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 or something, or 4 by 5 or something like that. And if it fits on there, then that's what I use. I don't do anything special sizes or anything. I'll keep them the same size. So I just kind of have those stuck right on the very side, and then they get stored in this box and on my shelf. And then I have a second one of these boxes, and in these boxes where I keep all of my Tim Holtz dies. On the very top I have 2 new dies that I recently purchased that I'm going to be playing with. This one I have in mind to do for a sign for my room, and then this is just probably going to be used for a card one of these days. But inside this box is where I keep all of my Tim Holtz dies. I have my on the edge dies, I have my bigs dies, and then I have some of the little, I don't know remember what they call these. The repositionable magnetic dies that when Tim first came out with his system, this is, what was available. So these are, I wanted to be able to put these up like this so that I can see what was inside, but then I couldn't put the lid on. So it goes on the side, and then I can just kind of flip through and see what's in here. So love this die storage, and I definitely need to pull out my Tim Holtz dies more and play with them. On the top shelf of my bookcase is my Mink, and then also 2 Project Life kits that I recently purchased. I don't know why I threw the box away for this one, but I did. And I got these I know I got them on clearance. Pretty sure that one back there was on clearance. So I just have those right there, and I pull these out for when I am working on my planner. The next unit is a tube cube unit. On the top I keep my Vagabond, and then on the bottom shelves are just more storage, and I'll get a little closer and show you those. So this is the last of my cubes, and this is the 2 cube unit that was made into a 4 shelf unit by adding the inserts for this unit. So the top shelf is where I keep some 12 by 12 cardstock. I just keep a small amount of it out here for when I'm using my silhouette machine in case I need to. Sometimes I'll do something. Recently I had to make some vinyl projects for work, and I used paper to die cut it first before I actually cut it out on the vinyl. So I like to keep that out. This shelf right here has a box. It's a 12 by 12 scrapbook box that the lid got damaged, but I have it in here with some newer 12 by 12 things that I recently purchased that are maybe some specialty paper or came in a kit, or acrylic piece or vellum, acrylic or vellum, specialty papers. So I keep those on that shelf. Then these 2 boxes I'm going to pull out. This top box is my Prisma pencils. So let me just go ahead and pull this out. So I picked up these boxes at AC Moore when they were on sale. I don't know if they still have them. I want to say they might still have them because it was a few weeks ago, but it's perfect storage for some of my coloring supplies. So on the side, which is probably not the best way to be storing these pencils, but these are Prisma pencils, but these are extra ones. I have them in my kit, my full kit here. So this was kind of what I purchased when I first was getting into playing with Prisma pencils, which I don't play with very much, but I do plan on doing more. I have posted a couple projects back in February with some Prisma coloring, so I've been playing with them more, but I have my Prisma pencils, and then my paper daubers. I have my Gamma and then I also have just a glass jar back here, which I don't know why I have a jar in here. This is extra Gamma and more of my little daubers. And then my pencil sharpener, which I don't use because I feel like it does damage my pencils more than it does make them useful. All right, so that's what I keep in this box. And then in the box below that one, which is the bottom box, is where I keep all of my coloring books. I'll pull these out when I'm, you know, for a rainy, snowy, yucky evening and we're watching a movie or something. I'll pull these out and just take them to my living room and watch a movie and color. Then last but not least is my Alex drawer unit. We'll start right at the top here. I have my sticker machine for doing my memory planner. And then right here is a little desktop sorter that I picked at Staples. And in here is where I keep all of my stickers from my planner that I've made in this little section. These are all ones I've made with my silhouette. On this side are ones that I picked up, like these are from Etsy from Amanda at the Clever Gal Crafts. If you guys want to check her out, if you're especially for Inkwell Press, she's got a lot of great kits that match the different colors that go with the Inkwell Press colors. And then, oops, I almost knocked my sticker machine off there. Then I also have some of the newer recollections that when they had this huge 60% off sale with the coupon, I picked up some planner supplies there. I have more of my handmade planner stickers here that I just recently made, so I've been starting to use those. I have more of my recollections, and in the very back are some more stickers that I picked up at Etsy or from my Erin Condren planner that I pulled out to continue using. So that's what I keep on the top. Let's go ahead and talk about all the storage. This is the 9 drawer unit, and the first like 5 drawers, they're not quite as deep, but the bottom drawers are a lot deeper. So the top 5 is where I kind of packed pretty full. So this top drawer in the back is where I have my wood veneers. I have them in these jewelry cases. Now I had a lot more of these. Most of them went into storage because I think they were more things that I would use for scrapbooking rather than card making. In the front are all of my enamel dots, which, you know, I am not buying any more enamel dots until I use up what I have. And same thing with the sequins. I have so many sequins and I need to use these up. So the ones in the front here, the from Martha Stewart, and then I have these containers down at the bottom, which I don't remember the name of them. I think they're like lock and something units, and they come with their own little tray. Again, these are for jewelry, but they're great for sequin storage. So I have all my pretty pink posh sequins in here. And then these are just cubes that I picked up, or little glass jars that I picked up at Target at around Valentine's Day. Right there. Okay, so that is the top drawer. In the next drawer, I have, let's see what we have in here. Oh, we have Tim Holtz inks. So I have all of my mini inkers in here. I have 4 of these bins. I need to grab an extra one because I did recently pick up one of the newer mini sets from Michaels. So I have those in there. And then I have my daubers in here. Now what I usually do is I have to buy more of these little foamy things because I just put the last of them. But what I do is I take the dauber top and just stick it in the bottom, and I'm sure you guys have seen this before in others videos, that you could just stick those little daubers right in the bottom of your mini cubes, and then you can just easily take your dauber and pick up your little foam piece. I also have my Tim Holtz medium, my Tim Holtz glaze. I have 4 of the larger cubes or larger ink pads back here because they are newer colors that I did not have the mini inkers for, which I believe now I do, but I didn't when I first picked them up. And then I have my little case that has all of my sponge daubers in it. So that's the next drawer. Let's go on to the next one. All right, so this is my Distress Inker drawer. In the back, I have all of my acrylic paints and stains, which definitely need to get some love because I have not really used those too much. And then I have my distress markers, which I have been slowly learning how to play with. So those are all in there. I just have this bin right here. I think I picked up at Big Lots. It was a little desk set. Scott has most of them in his desk, but I just have this one that has my markers. And then this bin back here looks like a little, you know, wicker basket, but it's just plastic and it comes from the dollar store. And I have a couple of these inside this unit. The next one is all of my inks from Simon Says Stamps and Hero Arts. And then I also have a couple of my Memento and different color ink pads back here. I miss the storage unit that I had in my old craft room where I can keep all of these inks on display. But for now they have to be in here because I don't have a wall space to keep those. But this is perfect for keeping all of these inks in here. And eventually I have to sit down and stamp all these colors out so I can make a little chart for myself. The next drawer, which is this drawer, this is my, maybe watercoloring drawer you want to call it. I have my gelatos in here. Eventually my Tim Holtz crayons are going to be in here. I have a little water paint palette, my pit markers, some watercolors down the bottom, Peerless colors, and then my masking tape or painter's tape. So that's what I keep in that drawer. Moving down, these are the deeper drawers. And in here, I have another one of those baskets from the dollar store. And in the basket, I have all of my smaller stencils. And then in the front are my bigger stencils, and they just sit right inside the drawer. So I have my Tim Holtz stencils and some larger, larger stencils underneath. This next drawer is my watercolor paper drawer, along with my sketchbook that I'm going to be using to do some of my own multimedia journaling. I have watercolor pads, some loose watercolor papers, some Tim Holtz watercolor papers, and then I have some of the larger Ganson watercolor, and then a cheaper watercolor paper pad back here that I can just play with. I think I got this for like $5 at AC Moore. That's just for playing and practicing, because one of these days I'm going to become really good at watercoloring. Then this next drawer, I have mixed media stuff. So I have my embossing paste, gesso, glitters, texture paste, and that kind of stuff in there. And then the very bottom drawer is all of my Project Life cards that I use for not only my memory planner, but I also use these for doing notes every week in my planner for things that I want to do or accomplish at work. I use these too, so I insert these. So these do get a lot of use. As a matter of fact, if you probably watched one of my older videos, you'll see that this actually looks a lot less because I have gotten a lot of use out of them. And then I have my 4x6, and in the back here is where I keep my Stampin' Up! Ones, and then my a smaller Project Life kit. Alright, so that is my in-depth storage tour of my room. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions or I didn't go into enough detail about some of my storage, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below. I'm happy to answer or maybe even do another video depending on what you want to see. Alright everybody, don't forget to give today's video a thumbs up. That's how I know that you enjoyed this video. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe so you can be updated for new videos. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye!